Okay, we get to part 4 of Federalist number 14, and this will be paragraph 4. Such a fallacy may have been the less perceived, as most of the popular governments of antiquity were of the democratic species. And even in modern Europe, to which we owe the great principle of representation, no example is seen of a government wholly popular and founded, at the same time, wholly on that principle. If Europe has the merit of discovering this great monarchical power in government, by simple agency of which the will of the largest political body may be concentrated and its force directed to any object which the public good requires, America can claim the merit of making the discovery the basis of unmixed and extensive republics. It is only to be lamented that any of her citizens should wish to deprive her of the additional merit of displaying its full efficacy in the establishment of the comprehensive system now under her consideration. Okay, as we talked in part 1, 2, 3 of this Federalist, Madison tries to argue about 6 things in this Federalist. And the first part, it's divided into 2 parts. He says, we want to do a extended republic. We want to prove that a extended republic, a large republic, can be established, can work well, unlike what our critics say. They say, Montesquieu and other philosophers have said that small republic is only for a small place. Madison says no. They get 2 things mixed up. Number 1, they get mixed up a direct democracy and a republic. He says a republic is based on representation. A direct democracy is when the voters show up themselves every week, every 2 weeks at the town center and participate in everything as if they have nothing else to do. He says, don't get that mixed up. In a country like ours that we are trying to establish a republic, we want people to have the freedom, the free time to go after their passion, to go after what makes them a good livelihood, what keeps their freedom, what doesn't make the government powerful enough to harass them. So we've chosen a system of representation. It's not a direct democracy. So he says a lot of people get direct democracy with representation mixed up. Now here in this paragraph says, in Europe they've learned the art of how to establish a government based on monarchies. The good monarchies, which are not really good, he says even the best ones, the power, everything comes from the center. All the ruling comes from the center, and it really does not represent the people. Because in most of the monarchies, especially absolute monarchies, people really don't have a voice. It's only the rich people, the barons, the lords, the higher ups that are close to the palace, they've got to say so. He says, if they've done anything good in Europe, some of those countries, they've learned how to be good monarchies, not absolute monarchies. And Indirectly, he talks about Britain as he has in the past papers. He says like Britain is one of the better ones. At least people have some freedom. But the rest of the monarchies don't. Now here, he says, but we are claiming that we have made a new discovery. We are presenting to the world, or we want to establish a system that we believe it's a new discovery. Discovery based on the basis of unmixed and extensive republics. That's going to be a symbol, a model on how to make an unmixed and a large republic. And this is going to be our gift to the world. When he talks about unmixed, where he's thinking of no mixing of different departments of government. You have an independent judiciary. You have 3 branches. You have division of power. You have checks and balances. And he says, with all of these, and then an extended republic, a large republic, we're going to set up a system where it'll be a model to the rest of the world. And this is our discovery. We don't want to give you another monarchy like the Europeans have been experimenting with for thousands of years. And then the last line in this paragraph, he says, it's only to be lamented that any of her citizens should wish to deprive her of the additional merit of displaying its full efficacy in establishment of the comprehensive system now under her consideration. He says it's just sad that some of these people, some of the citizens of this country, are not allowing us to establish this system and show it to the world, show its efficacy, how good it works. See it actually at work, and we want to show merits of displaying its full efficacy. We want to really show the world how good it is when it's operational and it starts working, so that the world will have another choice other than monarchy. Then in the next paragraph, he says, as the natural limit of a democracy is that distance from the central point which will just permit the most remote citizens to assemble as often as their public functions demand, and will include no greater number that can join in those functions. So the natural limit of a republic is that distance from the center, which will barely allow the representatives of the people to meet as often as may be necessary for the administration of public affairs. Can it be said that the limits of the United States exceed this distance? It will not be said by those who recollect that the Atlantic coast is the longest side of the Union, that during the term of 13 years, the representatives of the states have been almost continually assembled, and that the members from the most distant states are not chargeable with greater intermissions of attendance than those from the states in the neighborhood of the Congress. Okay. Here again back, he focuses on the extended republic. He says, well, in a democracy, people themselves, the voters, have to show up at the town center every time there's a vote and cast their vote. So they have to obviously be close by, so that going from their homes to where they want to vote is not going to take days. It's going to take short time, because they're a democracy. They're direct democracy. Remember, democracy at this time was not something that people liked a lot, or at least majority of these founders did not like. They always thought democracy will end in anarchy and turbulence, not a stable system. But here he doesn't really badmouth it. He doesn't say anything bad about it. He just says that in a full democracy, in a direct democracy, the distance is important. Yes. Because if you're going to vote, you can't leave your home and take 2 days to get to the town you want to vote in, because then there's nobody to tend to your farm, to take care of your business. But he says we are saying something different. We're going to have representatives in place, and they will, based on what we told them during the elections, they will know what's best, and they will vote that way. We'll hope to elect wise people that will do this on our behalf. And he says, okay, you're talking about distance. He says the longest distance here is along the Atlantic coast. And he says, okay, but look at our experiment. We've already had a Congress that's been sitting somewhere around here, a Continental Congress, for 13 years, ever since 1784. I'm sorry, 1774, when the first Continental Congress met. He said when you look at it from the past history, with a little time, we've always had representatives from different states in that Congress, even the ones that are farthest away, whether it's Georgia or somewhere else, without too much of intermission, without missing any of their responsibility. They've been there. So it's something that we can plan and we can do a good job of. So don't be, he's telling his critics, don't be spreading lies and half-truths that we can't be there. Now keep in mind how things have changed now. Now because of technology, because of airplanes and stuff, representatives show up back in their states regardless of where they are. On Fridays, go back on Mondays. So there's some plus negatives there. But compare it to when it was 230 years ago. It would take them sometimes weeks to get up here. But he says even then, we had found a way around it. Our representatives would not be absent for too long. They would always show up and do their work.